Anticipative of the future and forgetful of the past, humans have forever attempted to look beyond the curtains of today. Whether the world that we live in is permanent or not, our curiosity has left no stone unturned to unravel the secrets of its doom. And the same curiosity has led many great astronomers, kings, and priests to conduct rituals that could provide them a glimpse into the future. Many civilizations prepared for their destruction, foreseeing it a long time before doomsday. Storage units were stocked with contingency food. Walls were built for protection, and diplomatic relations were formed to ensure safety. The fear of nuclear holocaust, apocalypses, and wars has been hanging on our heads for many centuries. As a result, our psyche forces us to bend towards trying to find out the most plausible cause of our destruction. And what better source than the most famous mythologies? So let's look into the most famous mythological predictions for the way our world will end. Number 1. The final solar eclipse. The sun has been worshipped across different religions and ancient civilizations. Numerous mentions and records of the sun show that it was considered to be the greatest or the most powerful god in many mythologies. Myths surrounding the doomsday involve its disappearance, leaving the world in complete darkness. Among all of them, the Aztec apocalypse is different in that the Aztecs believe the apocalypse had already happened. They assert that there were 4 worlds that came before our world that were destroyed in the course of time. Through apocalypses, natural calamities, wars, and more, these 4 worlds saw their end each time. After the creation and destruction of 4 worlds, the universe had exhausted itself. The world we live in now is a shadow world of the ones that existed before. The humans around us today apparently are not humans at all. The Aztecs believe that we are the living dead. After the war, the world lay dead, in darkness, for over 50 years. After this, the gods decided to blow life into the bones and flesh of the people who were dead. They believe that our sun is the weakest one to have ever survived. Therefore, Aztecs offer many sacrifices to their sun god to strengthen his power. According to them, the universe would collapse into darkness, and humans would freeze to death once the sun faces the ultimate eclipse. They believed this eclipse would be endless and attempted many rituals to try and avert it. Number 2. Ragnarok. In Scandinavian mythology, Ragnarok signifies the doom of gods. The mythology covers a series of events that would be catastrophic for the world of both humans and gods. Ragnarok can be recounted as a series of events that involves the occurrence of a great battle, foretelling the death of numerous great figures, natural disasters, and the submersion of the world in water. The war would be followed by the rise of a new world, which would be pure and divine. The gods who would have made it out alive would meet again, and the world would be repopulated. Ragnarok is an important event in Norse mythology and has been the subject of scholarly discourse and theory in the history of Germanic studies. They believe that before the end of the world strikes, there will be a loss of morality and values. When demons and giants attack from everywhere, gods and goddesses will experience a heroic death. Winters would become brutal, and the sun vanishing and stars disappearing from the night sky. Number 3. Hopi Mythology. Hopi, the Native Americans, have a complex and detailed mythological history. They were believers in life emerging from underneath the earth and were known to be very creative people who engaged in the art of handicrafts and more. Many Hopi spiritual leaders believe that we are in the final days of the 4th world. The Hopi narrate the stories about the first 3 worlds that we have suffered through. The first world is said to have been the victim of a fire, a comet, asteroid strike, or several volcanic eruptions. The second world was known to be destroyed by ice, a great ice age. As for the third world, it is speculated to have been destroyed by a flood. It has been several years that the elders have been actively warning the youth of the changing signs of Earth towards doom. In 1970, Dan Kanchangva, Sun clan leader of the village of Hodavilla, who died at age 112, spoke about the deteriorating conditions of our time and warned that in the coming years, blood will flow. Our hair and our clothing will be scattered upon the earth. Nature will speak to us with its mighty breath of wind. There will be earthquakes and floods causing great disasters, changes in the seasons and in the weather, the disappearance of wildlife, and famine in different forms. There will be a gradual corruption and confusion among the leaders and the people all over the world. and wars will come about like powerful winds. In Hopi mythology, the blue star Kachina is the entity that will signify the coming or the beginning of the new world by appearing as a blue star. The blue star Kachina is the ninth and final sign before the day of purification, described as a catastrophe. Number 4. The Fire and End Zoroastrians. Zoroastrianism, or Mazda-Yazda, is a religion that originates in Iran and is probably one of the world's oldest organized faiths. Based on the teachings of the Iranian-speaking prophet Zoroaster, it was spread far and wide across the globe. The mythology notes two primary paths to the end of the individual and the end of the world. While the two are not completely unrelated, the judgment stands to be different for the individual, that is just the only, and universal, that is body and soul after resurrection. The individual is judged based on his or her actions and ends in hell or heaven accordingly. But that is not all. They believe that there would be a universal judgment that would decide the fate of the entire world. The belief is that the world lasts for a total of 12,000 years, which is then divided into 4 parts. Much like the Hindu mythology, the first period is known to have the good and evil separated. In the second, the good is invaded and troubled the evil forces of the world. The third becomes worse when the fight between the two forces intensifies, but in the fourth period, the fight ends with the goodness triumphing over evil. Restoration of peace and righteousness would be re-established. Justice will be provided to those who perform good deeds in life, and the rest will be consumed by the molten lava that emerges from erupting volcanoes. Number 5. The Kalki Avatar. Hindus believe in the existence of the force of time and nature. Furthermore, they believe in the presence and the power of the 5 elements of nature: air, water, earth, fire, and sky. Along with this, they also believe in their 3 central deities, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Brahma is known to be the creator of the universe. Vishnu is said to be the preserver and protector, while Shiva is known to be the destroyer of evil. Hinduism notes many tales of reincarnations of these deities, with fundamental moral lessons hidden in each. In Hinduism, there is the story of God Vishnu coming back in the last cycle of time as a figure called Kalki, who rides a white horse, carries a sword that looks like a comet, and destroys the forces of evil. The ferocious form of an otherwise composed Vishnu, it is said that Kalki would be the most brutal judge of character when he descends. With his sword in his hand, he would spare no sinner and ensure justice to the righteous ones. His birth is predicted in a small village called Samhalpur in India, and it would signify the start of the end. Number 6. End of days according to Judaism. Judaism is a monotheistic religion that believes in the existence of one omniscient God. It originates from the covenant God made with Abraham and his lineage. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam share this Abrahamic heritage and are known as the 3 main Abrahamic religions. The immortality of the soul is a theology that is highlighted throughout their mythological stories. The Jewish believe that after one dies, one's immortal soul joins God in the ever after while the body decomposes. Some commentators on Talmud have explained that the mythological stories about our doom. They believe that the world had risen from a state of nothingness and it will return to it. Others believe that the destruction being referred to in the texts are not literal and it refers to the destruction of mundaneness and evil. One school of thought outlines that the millennium of destruction in the Talmud refers to a period of great persecution of the Jewish people. The year of destruction is actually the 6th millennium, according to a passage in their texts. 6,000 years in the world, and it is in ruins 1,000 of those 6. Afterwards, there will be a messianic era. The Jewish describe Judgment Day as the day that this world would see its end. On such a day, the souls of the people who have passed away would stand in front of God, awaiting justice. This would be basis of the karma they have accumulated in their time on earth. That would the day when everything would come to a sudden and abrupt end. Number 7. The 7 Sons of Buddhism. Buddhism is also known as Buddha Dharma and was founded by Gautama Buddha. It is an Indian religion and a philosophical tradition that believes in the soul's existence and development. Their belief is woven around the fact that human life is full of suffering, and only meditation and spiritual labor can liberate us. It propagates peace, nonviolence, kindness, etc. Since the fundamental belief is that everything is impermanent and that nothing lasts forever, not a lot of importance is assigned to this world's doom. It teaches the practice of non-attachment and an acceptance of the self. Buddhism preaches that the universe was neither created nor will ever be destroyed. Therefore, not many Buddhist scriptures would highlight the end of the world. However, a specific period is mentioned in the religious scriptures when the entire humanity will cease to exist and a new creation will rise. They also believe that there would be 7 suns in the sky that would align, the day that everything ceases to be. Number 8. The Rapture. According to the belief of certain Christians, the world would end somewhat differently. While there is no mention of the word rapture in the New Testament, it is believed that there would come a time when Jesus would descend again and take the living and the dead to heaven along with him. Why do the Christians believe in the rapture? It is because of their associated belief that God aims to restore what was lost in Adam. It looks to restore his rule of righteousness in humanity. Since his creation seemed to have gone astray, the rapture is believed to be a method of restoration. The Christians read and preach this verse diligently. It is taught explicitly in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 15 through 17, and more or less implicitly in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 51 through 55, and John chapter 14, verse 2. That's the list. While none of the mythological stories have proven to stand steadfast, who knows which one amongst the millions can evidence itself? To be fair, these stories are based on loose facts and unclear data. As a result, some of these predictions can be taken as early conclusions without proper evaluation of all external factors. Religious heads have long awaited the doomsday with much anticipation. While each religion and mythology recounts different ends to the world, only one might be true. Although the time and place are tougher to predict accurately, many stories outline a fair idea of the places which might run the risk of an early doom. Word to the wise: do not wait for the world to end. Chances are we might not live long enough to witness this great ball of water and gases succumb to the forces of nature. So instead of worrying about an event that might not occur in our lifetime, we must make conscious efforts towards shifting our psyches towards life rather than death. But again, forget all of this and just stay mythical.